Well, the news is out. All right. This is pretty cool coming from the Atlanta Falcons news source. If you guys are checking us out right here on Matt Mike Sports as well as Matt Mike Network, the network for the Unholy Alliance, you guys truly appreciate you guys for continually supporting us, and hit that subscribe button for more NFL news, including the Atlanta Falcons. But it is indeed coming out for the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, this news is coming from a number of sources right now. Let me get this. All right, so this is Jordan Schultz, Ian Rappaport, Ari Merov, a lot of these guys. So with Kyle Pitts having a season of 88 catches, a career high 928 yards, with the second most amongst tight end, 5 touchdowns, a career high. Atlanta wants to keep him a long term, is what Jordan Schultz is saying. It says the Falcons' new regime wants to retain Kyle Pitts long term. The franchise tag gives them until July to work out a new deal for the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. I love this for the Atlanta Falcons. And like I said, the Atlanta Falcons will place the franchise tag on the tight end, keeping him off the free agent market. Yeah, baby. Kyle Pitts, baby. Yeah. I love this fucking deal, to be honest, for the Falcons, man. Like this, Kyle Pitts, man, having one of the better. I think he's clearly going to be the best tight end in Atlanta Falcons history when it all said and done. I love me some Algernon Darius Crumpler. I love me some Tony Gonzalez. But when it comes down to this, until the stats, he's going to be statistically the best tight end in Atlanta Falcons history. So the Atlanta Falcons have indeed. Y'all can throw y'all comments in there and tell me exactly what y'all thought. Like I said, the comments, like I said, we're going to keep these goddamn videos coming. So y'all continue to hit that subscribe button right here at Mad Mike Sports, Mad Mike Network, the Unholy Alliance Network. What Mad Mike Network is. Man, this is so fucking exciting. But this is what we said about Kevin Stefanski. You look at what he likes to do with his tight ends. He uses a hell of a lot of his tight ends, man. You go back and look at David Njoku, a lot of these guys, like, he loves tight ends. He started out as a tight end guy. Okay? This shouldn't be any surprise to a lot of people. Matt Ryan loved to throw the tight ends. I mean, look at what he did with Tony Gonzalez. So the importance, Matt Ryan with Tony Gonzalez, okay, Jacob Tammy, Austin Hooper, Kyle Pitts. He helped Kyle Pitts get to a Pro Bowl in his rookie fucking season. He helped him get to a Pro Bowl and damn near break an NFL record. So to have Kyle Pitts back with the Iceman, no, the Iceman is not going to be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, but the Iceman is going to be a major part of what the Atlanta Falcons are doing. And I am so happy. One of the things for me going out into this off season, where the Falcons had to prioritize Mr. Kyle Pitts, and I am so fucking glad that the Atlanta Falcons did the right thing. This is according to Ari Merov. He said the franchise tag for the tight end is roughly about $15 million. We got another guy on this team right there that's making about the same thing, and it's Trash Can Mooney. So you got Darnell Mooney right now, $15 million roughly. When you consider what wide receivers are making and how special Kyle Pitts is as a receiver, 15 is relatively cheap by those standards. That's a vantage point for Atlanta. I hope the hope is to eventually get a long-term deal. And I keep hearing him. I hear what he's saying, talking about Kyle Pitts as a receiver, but he's a fucking tight end. The beautiful thing about Kyle Pitts and why the Atlanta Falcons had to do this is because they already got Drake Drizzle. Okay, they got Drizzy, they got Drake, they got London, they got whatever the hell you want to light skin bandit, the Red Robin, whatever the hell you want to call Drake. They already got him locked up for the most part for a couple of years or so, and they got to end up giving a long-term deal with him. See what happened with Tyler Algier, but right now with Kyle Pitts, being franchise tagged, the Atlanta Falcons are going to have him for the very least, at the very least, they will have him for the least of 2026. And they got, like I said, they got until they'll have him about they'll have him for about June, I believe, to work on the deal, a long-term deal. So I'm loving this move with Kyle Pitts being franchise tagged by the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, let me get you guys comments right now. But I love this deal for the Atlanta Falcons. It pretty much solidifies what I thought that Kevin Stefanski and Matt Ryan really want to do. And I'm telling you guys right now, this Atlanta Falcon team is going to run a lot of play action. This Atlanta Falcon team is going to get the ball to the tight ends. Kevin Stefanski knows how to get the ball into the hands of his tight ends. If you don't know anything about Kevin Stefanski and what he did in Cleveland, in Minnesota, this dude get the ball into his playmakers' hands. He get the ball into his tight ends got his hands. All right. They can't afford to keep Pitts, Bijan, and Drake. No, they can. They can afford it, actually. But the thing is, it's going to cost some things on the defensive side of the ball. That's why development and the process is going to be, because what they can do, they can draft a tackle, because what can happen with that, you can draft a tackle. That's why you got to build Callahan in here, because the Falcons are going to have to make a decision, not only with Jake Matthews, but with Caleb McGarry, see what happens with him. They're going to have to make a decision with him. So that's about $16 to $18 million for each tackle, somewhere in there. So that's about $36, $37 million for the both of those guys. If you draft a tackle right now, and at some point in time, let's just say you draft a tackle in the second round, third round, or something like that, and he ended up becoming a starter, that's about 12 to $15 million that you can allocate towards delegate towards a guy like a Kyle Pitts in his contract for the next 2 to 3 years. So they can do that. You can afford it. There's ways you can do it. Also, at some point in time, Jesse Bates, his contract is going to have to be negotiated. So the Atlanta Falcons may or may not want to extend Grady's year, but they may or may not want to extend Jesse Bates. That's a way you can get some money. Another way, you can develop a defensive edge guy, and bring a young guy in, and kind of allow Leonard Floyd to leave. That's about $7 to $8 million. So it's ways that you can keep all three. But the development and the coaching staff is going to be paramount in this situation. But the Atlanta Falcons have indeed franchise tagged Kyle Pitts. It's been reported by multiple sources that he has been where is it? Yeah, that he has been oh, here we go. Good God Almighty. But yeah, that he has been tagged by the Atlanta Falcons. He would be franchise tagged by, but like I said, Ian Rappaport also is reporting that the Falcons are planning to franchise tag standout wide receiver. So as to say, keeping their playmaker in the fold for 1 year, fully guaranteed deal for more than $15 million. The hope is to work out a long-term deal rather than tag. The two sides have until July to do exactly that. So I love it, man. The Falcons are prioritizing a lot of their guys, and um um I love it. I want to know what you guys think about that. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if we go at the Tyler Linderbaum. Yeah, it's be probably one of those guys. But I think Hinton is another one of those guys that are offensive linemen that the Atlanta Falcons have invested in. That I think he played well in the absence of Chris Lindstrom at times, at Bergeron at times. I thought he think he's another one of those guys too. A center, I think we'll end up drafting the guy at some point in time too. I don't know if Ryan Noozle is their guy, but we'll see. Maybe Bill Callahan sees something in him that we may not see in him, but he's another one of those guys, and that will indeed that could indeed be developed properly. Like I said, we'll see. Stefanski's offense. Stefanski offenses have always thrived when he has a good running back, tight end, and a wide receiver. So absolutely. Like I said, one of the things that why his offenses strive are success is because they run the ball and they teach protection. Obviously, protection is paramount with them. When his offenses aren't getting the protection, they tend to struggle. But they run the ball. They use a lot of play action, and play actions is always good for the quarterback, and especially for the wide receiver because the wide receivers have the opportunity to get more space. So that's always a good thing for the Atlanta Falcons. But the Falcons are indeed, again, if you guys are just tuning in, the Atlanta Falcons are tagged and are expected to tag Kyle Pitts, use the franchise tag with him. And like I said, I love it. I love the fact that the Atlanta Falcons, they're not taking no chances with the offense this season. Yeah, like I said, man, I love it. Again, that's prioritizing, your players. You bring in coaches who are experts at a particular field, and Kevin Stefanski is one of those guys that he started as a tight end coach. So he's going to be, if I trust anybody with this team, especially with a tight end like Kyle Pitts, I think it's Kevin Stefanski, Tom Reese, and those guys. They're going to be able to get the ball into Kyle Pitts' hand. And that's like the end of the day. We know we can get the ball into Bijan's hand. We know we can get the ball into Drake's hands. But we got to find a way to continue to maximize Kyle Pitts as a threat offensively. So I do love that. Can we get a team-friendly deal? D offered. I expect at some point the Falcons will probably look at D Alford. You still got a problem with Billy Bowman. See if he come when he's due back with a torn Achilles, and see how the Falcons will kind of take their time with him. He's another one of those guys that you throw in the slot. He coming back for injury or whatnot. D Alford is definitely one of those guys that I thought defensively the Falcons did a wonderful job of kind of showcasing his skills. D Alford is definitely one of those guys. Does this mean that Drake will be traded? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like I said, you can find a way to kind of keep Drake here with the Atlanta Falcons. I do believe that they can find a way, and they will find a way in that regard. So I do love what the Atlanta Falcons are doing with the team right now. Like I said, Drake London is there. I don't expect them to draft, but like this, it really just depends on what the Atlanta Falcons are prioritizing. If they're prioritizing, development and bringing in a multitude of people, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and not just rely on superstar takes and the best player available in every draft, and bringing in scheme fit guys. The Atlanta Falcons, I think they'll at some point in time, they will give Drake the money, but like I said, it really just depends on what they prioritize. But I expect him to be here with the Atlanta Falcons, but the Atlanta Falcons do enjoy their pick. So, and they don't have a first round pick this year, obviously because of the James Pierce Jr. Pick. We don't know what's going to happen with James Pierce Jr. So, like I said, I say no, but prepare yourself for anything in that regard. Because, like I said, the Falcons, and I said this a couple of days ago. I said whatever happens with Kyle Pitts to kind of give you an idea of what the Atlanta Falcons are going to go, in my opinion. Being that the Atlanta Falcons brought back Kyle Pitts and they're looking for a long-term deal, this signifies to me that a guy like Darnell Mooney is pretty much gone. It could mean that a guy like Tyler Algier could be gone. Okay. The good thing about Tyler Algier, and shout out to that dang on Dallas Cowboy fan that said, "Man, I don't know how the hell you can put Javonte Williams and Tyler Algier in the same boat." Well, it's about the contract, dumbass. Okay, the contract. You look at Javonte Williams and what he was able to get. He was only able to get 3 years, 24 million. 16 of that is guaranteed, which is 8 years, 8 million per year. That's $16 million per year, pretty much guaranteed that $8 million for 2 years. Being that he only got 16 guaranteed and he rushed for 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns, that signifies to me personally that a guy like Tyler Algier, who does not have those numbers that Javonte Williams has, it's only better for the Atlanta Falcons, or it could be a instance where another team see the value in Tyler Algier and want to pay him much. But I already see when you see running backs going out and getting money, but it's not record setting money. That's a good sign for the Atlanta Falcons. So I will prepare myself for Drake to stay. I expect Drake to stay, but prepare myself for anything to happen via the trade because Ian Cunningham, this guy loves his picks. So we could be trading back, we could be trading players for picks, we could be cutting guys to get more money because guys like Kirk Cousins obviously is going to be gone, but we'll see with that. Okay. What about wide receiver? Yeah, I think the wide receiver crew, the wide receiving core, without a doubt, needs to be improved. Okay, make no mistake about it. This like Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, they brought in some of the absolute worst wide receivers. I mean, we brought in a whole bunch of guys with this wide receiving core that had no business on anybody active roster. Okay, let's keep that real. We brought in a whole bunch of guys that did not belong in the active roster. Now we got those guys, and they are a part of what the Atlanta Falcons um are Atlanta Falcons are doing or could possibly do. But now, like I said, it's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people probably saying to themselves too, well, what does this mean? The Falcons are going to look to trade Kyle Pitts? Well, that right there could be a thing too. The Atlanta Falcons could be using this franchise tag to see what other teams are going to pay Kyle Pitts. And maybe another team wants to give the Atlanta Falcons a first round pick, a second round pick, a bunch of mid round picks. That could very well be the case also. So again, man, don't get happy to see Kyle Pitts. Don't get happy to see a Drake London. A lot of teams, anything can happen right now when you got a guy like Ian Cunningham that values picks. So I do believe that the Atlanta Falcons are going to keep Kyle Pitts. I don't think, but I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to do everything it takes to make sure that they're going to solidify their future. And letting Kyle Pitts walk, it's not wise. I think it's ignorant. But like I said, at the end of the day, you got to do not be surprised. When we can trade Julio, when we can trade Matt Ryan, I'm telling y'all right now, don't get caught up on all these players. Anything can happen in the NFL. Any given Sunday, We've seen it time and time again. But the Atlanta Falcons, I think they're going to draft a few wide receivers that fit Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees offense, Matt Ryan's offense. I do believe that they're going to be a lot of guys that has ability, explosiveness. Don't be surprised. A lot of guys that you see at receiving core is going to be Splash is no matter how bad some of Cleveland teams were, they never had a soft team. I mean, that's the thing with them too that I like what I'm seeing from Kevin Stefanski and his team right now. These guys are doing a wonderful job of bringing in coaches that understand that physicality in the trenches and understanding that running the ball, time of possession, hard nosed defense. These guys are going to do exactly that and building a tough team. And to be honest, when the Atlanta Falcons are at their best, they're running the ball and they're being physical in those trenches. That's what we excel. Kevin Stefanski heavily utilized tight ends throughout his coaching career, often leading to the league and using two tight end sets 57% of the snaps. Great stat right there. This is something that I definitely noticed as well. And that's why I said, do not be surprised if the Atlanta Falcons end up bringing in another tight end. Hint, 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 hint. One of the guys that we threw out there was David Njoku. What I would do with the Atlanta Falcons and bringing in David Njoku, he'll play right next to Kyle Pitts, kind of open a lot of things up for a guy like Drake London. I would bring him in for about $7 million. Give him that. David Njoku is definitely able tight end, athletic tight end, and I think with Kyle Pitts there, if what I'm doing with the Atlanta Falcons, I'm getting rid of Downer and Mooney immediately and giving David Njoku that to kind of further solidify what Ghost Peppers is saying right now with the two tight end sets. David Njoku, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, trio of receivers of physicality. I think that right there will drive a lot of these guys insane because not only do you have to respect David Njoku in the middle of the field, you got to respect Kyle Pitts in the middle of the field and outside the numbers. And with that, Drake London, you got to respect him inside and outside the numbers. So I'm loving the potential of Kyle Pitts coming back. But like I said, we do have to take in consideration that there's still the offseason. A team may want to give the Atlanta Falcons a first-round draft pick for a Kyle Pitts in exchange for a contract signing. So that's still something that is there. I don't think it's likely, but teams may try for the services of Kyle Pitts because he is a hell of an athlete. He is a hell of a talent, without question. Again, he was second in the league with numbers. He was second in the league for yards at tight end with 928, 5 touchdowns. So this dude is a fucking athlete, man. So don't be surprised the Atlanta Falcons are actually listening to a lot of teams in that regard. Like I said, don't be surprised. Do you think ATL will look for a left tackle in this draft to develop and eventually replace Jake Matthews when he retires, or would you look in free agency? No, the first thing I'm doing, I'm not looking for Jake Matthews replacement because Jake Matthews is the guy. He's a staple. He's a leader, and he's the example that you want to follow as an offensive lineman. I mean, as a person, been here for forever. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm looking to replace Caleb McGarry before I'm looking to replace Jake. Everybody ready to get rid of Jake because he's older and all that. That's all cute and all, but Jake Matthews is a fucking monster in that run game. Jake Matthews is well respected throughout the NFL. Okay. And he can still ball. The dude can still ball. So I'm not looking to replace Matthews at all. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm looking to bring in a right tackle. Maybe we have that guy and Jack Nelson. He can kind of develop Jack Nelson to be the right tackle, and the Falcons end up possibly trading a guy like Caleb McGarry to another team to free up a cap space and then draft a young guy behind either Jake Matthews or or Caleb McGear, but I'm not getting rid of Jake Matthews for another 2 to 3 years if I'm the Atlanta Falcons. And this dude is still a stud. Um, he says, would you bring in Mike Evans? Absolutely, I bring in Mike Evans. Okay. If them bitches gonna bring in some Zach Robinson, think they're gonna kind of get on our nerves. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm bringing in Mike Evans, even though he's been one of those guys that's hellified, uh, injury prone. And we talk about Michael Penix being injury prone. This dude is injury prone, but I'm being a jackass and I'm just going out here and getting Mike Evans. I'm giving him a good little contract for maybe a year, maybe two, just so he can be petty and totally fuck with the Bucks. He is like Mike Evans. He did say he wants to kind of explore his options as far as free agency. So maybe the Atlanta Falcons will kind of look at him and see what happens, and have that solidified number 2 receiver next to Drake London, and have Mike Evans and Drake London in the middle of that. You talk about one of the toughest wide receiving cores that we can possibly have together. That'd be insane. Drake and Mike Evans, the most physical, one of the 2 of the most physical wide receivers in the NFL on one team. That'd be insane. All right. So I love that idea. Kevin Stefanski is a tight end aficionado. He wants to elevate Pitts in this system. That's something that he said too. That's exactly what he said too. Yeah, I don't think Southside. I don't think it was a question, in my opinion. I think the thing is now, how do other teams view Kyle Pitts? And I think that's the thing. I know Fred, you love it. Fred have been goddamn tagging me and everything Kyle Pitts and you, so I know Fred loves it. I know Fred loves it. But Kyle Pitts is back. We'll be back with the Atlanta Falcons with the tag being applied to him for about $15-16 million. So the Falcons will get that back, and they will start the negotiation process in that regard. So that's always a good thing for the Atlanta Falcons. And yeah, that's a perfect example of what that. Scotty, I'm glad you said that. I honestly believe this true. Right here, Scotty. I appreciate this comment because this is exactly what I see next. I think 2 things are going to happen with the Atlanta Falcons. You're going to see Darnell Mooney and Kirk Cousins, those guys being at this point in time. You're going to start hearing whether or not these guys are going to be released for salary cap. For salary cap issue, but they won't be announced. I mean, it'll be announced, but it won't become official until a couple of days before free agency. So I fully expect Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney at some point in time. Either we try to trade Mooney for something, and like I said, even if we can get 4th, 5th, a bunch of 7s, I say try to do exactly that with Darnell Mooney. If you can't get anything, just outright cut him and give the money to another wide receiver that fits Kevin Stefanski and his offense. In my opinion, London's status as a premier productive weapon and a severe lack of depth at the position, we should retain London. I don't think it's any question, to be honest. Like I said, it depended on what teams are trying to get or are willing to give a Kyle Pitts and a Drake London. I expect both guys to be with the Atlanta Falcons, but it's really just dependent on what the market is around those guys. If the Falcons can get a 1st and a 2nd for Kyle Pitts, I think you have to entertain it. But I think both of these guys will be back with the Atlanta Falcons. But you have to entertain the idea of these guys being traded. The same goes for Kyle Pitts and London. I think the Falcons will be able to get back Tyler Allgeier, and then you draft another young back behind Tyler Allgeier. I think that's a good way to go. I think if the Atlanta Falcons want to, kind of head back in the direction of getting to the playoffs, I think you have to entertain the idea of bringing Tyler Algier back in case, for whatever reason, something happens, God forbid, to Bijan Robinson. You have two backs that are capable of getting and had 1,000-yard receiving, 1,000 yards rushing, excuse me. Me, Falcon need Kyle Pitts, Bijan, Drake, and you can fill the rest of the offense with cheap weapons. Yeah, that's right there is knowing how to develop talent, get guys in the fourth, fifth rounds and develop them. Cheap little free agent guys that was on other teams practice squad, develop them. Like this is exactly how you want it, but it comes down to being in the system. Understand what you're going to do, running the ball, being physical. I think that's exactly what you do with these guys. Finding the pass protecting right end is more important. Well, the thing is, with this, when you're running the ball, when you're running the ball in a run first offense, time of possession is going to be on your side. Kevin Stefanski, he really focuses on running the ball and play action. The Atlanta Falcons were near the bottom of the league, and not only in play action passes, but their play action efficiency because they did not do it enough. But when you have a offensive mind like a Kevin Stefanski, he utilizes play action as well as running the ball. It's going to help your pass protection by default. Obviously, these guys are not going to be, stepping back 40, 50 times every game. These guys are going to have a nice balanced play calling under Stefanski and Tommy Reese. The fact that fans think Jake is not good now. Yeah, like I said, Jake is one of the most efficient guys, and he's always been there. I think he's close to damn near breaking his dad record um for the most consistent starts. Like this dude is a fucking stud, man. Like this dude, Jake Matthews, like he's one of the best run blockers and protectors in the league. Yeah, Jake has his damn moments of what the fucks, but like that was few and far in between. This dude is a fucking stud, man. It's a reason why the Falcons are giving him 16, 17 million dollars every year. Because he just gets the job done. Um Somebody said Henry Ruggs. I don't know about that pimp. Uh you think he'll get released too? JD, look, JD probably survives just because he may be a special teams guy. So I don't think he's a I don't think he's a starter. But you keep guys like JD Bertrand on the team just because you may need somebody to step in at some point in time, as well as you need special teams guys. Special teams is very valuable. I think we should know that by now, especially after this past season with special teams. So you want to keep guys that still have ability, and Bertrand has that ability. George Pickens is projected to get 32 million. Yeah, like I said, man, and they expecting to tag him too, so they can try to get negotiations to get a better deal for them, or possibly get some draft picks for George Pickens. So I think it's a good idea what the Dallas Cowboys are doing with George Pickens. And like I said, it's not a popular idea, but it is something that you should think about. Okay, like I said, man, around we'll be back around 8 o'clock. And like I said, we got a guest, and we're gonna talk about these. We're gonna talk about these. The latest deals uh, 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 with Kyle Pitts and where the Atlanta Falcons are going and what's going. Do you believe the Falcons should sign a veteran quarterback? Yes, Flacco. Just go out and get Flacco. He already know the system. Draft a young quarterback. They problem solved.
bring in Flacco, who already knows the system, and draft a young quarterback, maybe in the 5th round or something like that. Bring him in, develop him, and the Falcons will be fine. All right, you already got Michael Penix. You can wait on Michael Penix to get healthy by having Joe Flacco as the starter. He knows the system. He knows what these guys want, and he's been in the league for quite some time. And like I said, you're not asking Joe Flacco to be a Pro Bowler. You just asking him to maintain everything until Michael Penix is capable of playing 100%. Yeah, so like I said, man, Romeo Dobbs is another one of those guys out there. There we go. So again, man, y'all check us out at 8 o'clock. Make sure you hit that notification bell, because sometimes YouTube be tripping. They don't send y'all the notifications on time. We will be live at 8 o'clock. Okay, 8 o'clock, you guys. Continue to support your boy here at Man Mike Sport for more news updates around the clock. We will continue to do that. And like I said, man, I got a lot of tapes coming out soon. As y'all see right now, again, hit that notification bell. Make sure you guys have already subscribed, because sometimes YouTube will send you the video. You don't realize that you're not subscribed, so you may miss a lot of our live shows and our videos if you don't do it. So again, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to check twice to see if you hit that subscribe button. This has been your boy, Man Mike. I am out of here. 8 o'clock. We will soon. K-Styles will be coming in soon about 2:30. Also, stay tuned for K-Styles. So, man, I'm telling you, we got a lot of stuff coming on. So, with that being said, man, Matt Mike with another news updates for the Atlanta Falcons. Kyle Pitts has been tagged, but the Atlanta Falcons are expected to make about $15 million a year. And that's the bottom line, because Mad Mike said so.
Put your eyes back in your head.
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.